What's up, you guys? It's Lisa. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to take a moment and talk to you about how to make a play mass kit for your sons. I feel it is so important for us to expose our children, daughters and sons, to the play of mass, just so that it becomes part of something that they can do. I know you know this, that children imitate whatever they really like, and I feel like if we can incorporate our Catholic faith into playtime, it just brings it home into our children's hearts. So anyway, I made a mass kit for my son when he was born, but I will say it also majorly benefits my daughter because we play mass at home, and she gets to, often we dress her up actually as like a sister, or sometimes we'll dress her up as the Blessed Mother. Anyway, and she gets to participate in mass too, and she loves singing and she loves doing the readings. And then my son is exposed to the real possibility of the vocation of the priesthood for him, because he is, acting out the steps of the Mass. And I also find that it brings about a reverence when we do go to the real thing, because we're not pretending there. So it's fun to kind of make the distinction for the kids too, like, okay, this is just pretend, it's okay. But then when we go to the real Mass on Sunday, it's just like, it just really elevates for them what we're experiencing. So let me show you my playing mass content box, and I hope it will inspire you to make something similar for your sons and daughters. What you need is a bottle of spray paint, gold spray paint, maybe 2 bottles, I'm not sure what we actually used. This was made a couple of years ago. And then everything else is really just what you find at Michael's or any kind of craft store. So I'll start with the tabernacle. This is just a wooden box that I picked up at Michael's, and then I found a wooden cross which happened to be like the same size, and we just, I glued it on. Basically, I glued everything, and then I took everything outside to the garage, put it on a tarp, and gave my husband the gold spray paint, and I said, just go to town, just cover everything. So we did the inside too. I had purchased red velvet to give this a lining, but ended up never sticking it in. But that's our gold tabernacle. And then these are just those little cheap, I'm sure you can also get them at Party City. In fact, I think I did get this at Party City, but these are just those clear disposable champagne glasses or whatever. And what I did with t-shirt paint was I painted on a cross with some rays, and I put some details up here. The t-shirt paint, as you know, is puffy and it's thick, so I waited for that to dry, put a design down here, and then again I just had my husband spray paint it all inside too, so it looks really good. And I took the bottom of another one, and it comes apart, and that can work as the cover for our chalice or wine glass, whichever it is. I actually have another one in here, but it's broken. But that gives you a sense of how we, oh, this one says IHS on it. But anyway, that's kind of how we got those items together. We have played mass quite a bit in our house. Here's a paten, as you can see, to hold the communion. And ours is a little bit broken from overuse, but again, just a cheap plate that I got at Party City, spray painted it gold. Let's see. Oh, the bells. This is so much fun. My daughter loves ringing the bells at the consecration. These used to be glued together, but again, we play really hard or often. And look at this, a cute little, can you see how I made it? It's just 2 tongue depressors, and then I put some gold, what do you call those things? I forget. You know what they are. I just wrapped it around to make it more interesting. And these are just bells that, again, I picked up, I think, at the craft store. They're certainly around at Christmas time. These are fake candles that did come with light bulbs on top, but I didn't want our kids to, drop these by accident and have the glass break. So I just took the bulbs off. No need for a battery for us. We just, set it out on the altar that we make out of tables. Actually, it's usually our piano bench. speaking of the altar, this is just a white cloth, a tablecloth that we put on the altar, spread it out to make things look nice. And I also have another small piece of white cloth that we will use when, Father, my son, washes his hands. So we will use that. And then this is where we put a little bit of, this is again a Party City find. We pour the water on his hands and then he dries his hands. That part of the Mass. So these were very inexpensive at Party City. And then what else do I have to show you? Oh, forgive me that I often hesitate on the names of things. I think these might be cruets, I'm not sure. But we put just some red tissue paper in here to show that wine goes in here and water goes in here. That's just clear, crinkly stuff. So that when we're carrying the gifts up, if anything drops, stuff doesn't actually spill out. I picked this up many years ago. I thought I was going to use it for jewelry, but it is perfect for the collection basket. In fact, our parish actually uses baskets that are bigger than this but look like this. So my kids love to pass this around as we collect our coins for an offering. This is the incenser. I guess it's called a thurible if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me below. I'm sorry, I forget. But again, this was just a plastic bowl. Ours is a little bit broken, but we still use it. And you can see I used my t-shirt paint on there to get some crosses, spray painted it gold. And this is just a wiffle ball that we spray painted gold. Again, it's got a lot of use, so some of the gold paint has come off. And this is just a string. I put a little knot here so that my son would know to grab it about at this location, and then he, will incense the altar before doing the gospel reading. What else do we have? Oh, this is fun. I got this on Etsy. I will ask the woman who sold it to me if she still makes these, and if she does, I will link it down below. I don't know that she does. She might have retired, but you can look on Etsy or other places online. This was about $60, and she had me measure my son's wingspan, right, when he put his arms out. But the great thing about this, we picked the navy color. That's the color my son wanted, and it's kind of makes me think of like Advent or a Marian feast day. We put the miraculous medal here, and we kind of told her what we were envisioning, and then she went and purchased these things. It's a textured cloth. I don't know if you can see the detail there, but it's really just beautiful. And what I love about this is even as my son grows and his arms get longer and longer and he gets taller and taller, he is still going to be able to wear this. And the reason is because it is just one big oval. So he can stick his arms out here, you see? And the way it's shaped, it doesn't cause any problems with when he is like picking up something. He's not going to trip. So that kind of gives you the look of it. And then the back is just plain. So if you're talented enough that you can make something like this, do it. But if not, I just feel there's wonderful places online where you can purchase something like this. And I think, it was an investment, but I feel that, I'm hoping that generations to come, will play with this. This is the stole that of course goes underneath the vestment there, and there was a cross here that she made. We lost a little piece of it, but as the priest is getting dressed, he says certain prayers as he's vesting and kisses the little cross on his stole. So that little cross has gotten lots of kisses. What else do I have to show you? Oh, we have a little icon that we often put out near the tabernacle to remind us that Jesus is present there. Also, we talk about how near the tabernacle there is a red candle burning to show us that Jesus is present, the sanctuary candle. Sometimes it can be white, of course, but we usually have this, and we don't light it to remind ourselves that Jesus is not really present here. This is just pretend, we're just playing, but we'll have it here and it's not lit. And then, of course, when we go into Mass, I'll make the distinction like, look, the candle is lit. So Jesus really is in the tabernacle. I do have another one, and you can buy this at I've seen that at different places in Catholic gift shops and things. This can be fun too, and you could light this it's just an electronic candle, and then it like flickers. So this can be a fancy thing to put out too, you know, and you would just say like, we're gonna light it, but you know, Jesus isn't really present there. Then on the altar, we use this. I purchased this years ago for myself to hold my Bible, but it just works great for it to hold Liam's book, and I'll show you what books we use here in just a moment. And then we have a smaller version that we put on the little small like podium thing we use for the readings. So it just makes it look a little more official and fancy. Let's see. Oh, here's my other candle for the other edge of the altar. We have two. And then we have a little crucifix, right, that goes in the center of the altar and faces the priest. And then what else do I have? Oh, these are my fake little hosts. They're just little wooden discs that I got at Michael's, so we use them. And then somewhere in here I have a really big one. I think it's this one here, yeah. Okay, so see how this one's bigger? So he'll hold this one up during the consecration. And then I want to share with you some books that we use. Now I tried to make my own. I just never finished it, but I talked about just the preparation, the things that need to be lit, you know, what happens in the procession and song, and how we genuflect, and how the priest kisses the altar. So I kind of made this book, and I really had fun making it, but you know, and sometimes the parts of the Mass I'll make a little bit shorter just to make it easier on all of us. But I actually didn't cut this out and laminate it as I intended to, just because I ended up finding some pretty awesome books that are really fulfilling the deal, I don't know. So let me share those with you. Right now, my favorite one is this one. It's nice and small, and Liam puts this on the altar so he can like follow along with what needs to happen. And it's great. It just talks about how the first step is all of us coming in, and then we get some holy water and we genuflect. So my daughter and I, Vera, we will do these things. We might pray the rosary for a few minutes before Mass begins. Anyway, and then, you know, oh, this doesn't have the procession in, but anyway, we have, you know, how the priest begins with the sign of the cross, and it just goes through. It has a nice little title and description and picture, so we can easily flip through and make sure we hit all the parts of the Mass. So I really recommend that one. Okay, that one's a good one. I just found that in our parish vestibule. They have like a little stand with things for sale, and that was there. This though had been the one we were using for a long time. This might be my favorite, and this is really cool. And bigger picture, kind of the same images, if I'm not mistaken. It might be the same artist, but just talks about the different, you know, steps before Mass here. Here's the procession. I like that because we enjoy playing some nice music. I have some nice Catholic hymns, and we will play, you know, something that feels appropriate for the procession, and then, you know, the offertory, all the different parts of the Mass. So Liam will flip through this, and again, like for opening prayer, it'll just be something very simple, very short. Often the readings are, you know, from our evening Bible, you know, kids' Bible that we read. And sometimes Vera, because she can't read yet, she will just kind of retell the story that she sees based on the picture, based on what she remembers. Anyway, so I highly recommend this book right here, in case you want to pick it up yourself. Okay, and then some other ones which I have, which we haven't used as often, but which also look great, but might be maybe for a little bit of an older child. This one is fantastic. I know you've seen it. It has all the responses, which is great, you know, and those other books I had don't have that. So when our kids get a little bit older, we will really appreciate having more responses. So that's a good one. This is also a great one from our Sunday visitor. And again, it has the responses and some explanation of why we do things. Such a great book. And then this is also great. This one, Actually, this one has more explanation of why we do things, a good table of contents, and just kind of explains what happens at each part of the Mass, why we do things that we do. So that's good. And oops, I have a second one of these. Actually, I have to return that to our church, so I'm going to put that in a different pile right over there. Anyway, so yeah, so that's about it. And then we keep a rosary in here as well. And the other thing I wanted to show you, oh, and then this I printed out. This talks about the different parts. When he's getting in his vestments, I will hold this and like we'll talk about the different things. I will just tell him the name of each piece that he's putting on. We don't have all the pieces, but, and then there is a prayer with each thing that he puts on, and that's how a priest gets ready for Mass. So anyway, when we play Mass at home, I feel like it's about 20 minutes. There are distractions that happen, and you have to be okay with that. In fact, we talk about how, you know, at Mass, there's always a crying baby. There's always something. Somebody has to go to the bathroom, and the priest has to carry on with Mass. All of us do, even when there's those distractions. So my daughter loves to like bring her dolls to Mass when we're playing Mass. And of course, during Mass, she will have one of her dolls cry and she has to get up and take care of the doll, and that is fine. I just keep kneeling and we have fun. We just go with the flow. So anyway, the most enjoyable part for me is when I listen to Liam's homily. That is the best, because he will just talk about whatever is on his heart, what he's thinking about with God, and I love it. I always want to record it with my camera, but he usually does not let me, so I just have to sit there and listen, and it's great to like get the feedback on what he's saying. Sometimes my daughter will come up afterwards and do announcements, you know, for the parish and stuff. It is just fun, and we just do it. There are times where we may not get through the complete Mass. Maybe somebody gets hungry or whatever, and we can't do the 20 minutes it usually takes, and that's absolutely fine, because I don't want it to be an unpleasant experience. I just want it to be something fun, something they enjoy. So we just go as long as, you know, we're able, and usually we're able to get through the 20 minutes. So anyway, that is my suggestion for you if you have any interest in making something like this. I would love to see religious education directors like make one of these for their parish, and then have people be able to like sign it out, check it out, take it home for a week. Especially, like I said, families that have boys. My son started playing Mass when he was, I think, about 2 years old. He is 6 now, and he still loves doing it. We don't have it out all the time, and I certainly don't just like keep it in their rooms, because I don't want the contents to just be thrown around the house. I want them to have some reverence, obviously, for it. So I keep it in the basement, and then maybe, I don't know, it might be like once a month, I'll pull it up and I'll be like, does anybody want to play Mass? And without fail, they usually do. And if they don't, that's okay, you know? So anyway, if you have any questions, please comment down below. Please share if you've done anything similar. And don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.